This is the Barbados Today afternoon news for Wednesday, April 4th. Thank you for joining us. I am Marie-Claire Williams. Our top story this afternoon, Commerce Minister Donville Inniss has called out CARICOM member states who failed to pay their dues to regional organizations. Inniss was addressing a meeting of regional organization CrossQ and the Barbados National Standards Institution this morning. He said some countries have the wrong priorities.
I'm deeply troubled for those member states that are not paying their dues to regional institutions. I've been a cabinet minister for 10 years. I've attended many CARICOM meetings, engaged in some of the most robust debate with colleagues from other territories, only to find that those that are keeping the most noise have not paid their dues to the institutions. And I've also traveled extensively outside of the region to meetings, and I have to be frank. Sometimes you see cabinet ministers and senior public officers from delinquent islands, delinquent in terms of their dues to regional institutions, and sometimes the fees due to a regional institution may only be $5,000 US a year, but the front of the aircraft is filled with officers at a rate of almost $7,000 US per seat. Then you add to that accommodation in the hotels and the per diems and the shopping, etc. And I say, well, we got wrong priorities.
Principal of the Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies, Professor Eudine Barriteau, is pointing to a need to review the university's curriculum. She told last night's awards ceremony that the university needs to alter the traditional methods of meeting the needs of a rapidly changing workplace. Professor Barriteau says Cave Hill has already started the process with the establishment of the Center for Biosecurity Studies.
The 2017 hurricane season of devastation in our region left myriad social, economic, and health challenges. It created geographical degradation, including coastal erosion, bacterial threats, and temperature-related health concerns. These, in turn, exacerbated conditions of poverty due to massive dislocation and loss of resources and livelihoods. These adversities create both geopolitical and biosecurity concerns. The Center for Biosecurity Studies will address these matters in specialized certified training, preparation of policy briefs, and specialized consultancies.
Businesses and individuals who invest in health tourism could receive tax exemptions. That's according to Senior Medical Officer Arthur Phillips in his address to the opening of the Caribbean Dental Congress last evening.
The Ministry of Health is supportive of efforts to invest in health tourism, and the ministry continues to examine proposals from various associations as well as individual practitioners who make cases for tax exemptions based on good business projections, and works with the other government departments, including Invest Barbados, in considering and supporting these proposals where it feels that there is benefit both for the practitioners as well as for the wider country.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chasney is predicting continued economic growth for the island this year after reporting a 2.5% growth in 2017. Chasney delivered a $1.48 billion budget to Parliament last evening, and he said Castries has seen renewed investor business and consumer confidence in the local economy. The Prime Minister also announced plans to introduce a universal national insurance scheme as part of efforts to overhaul the public health service.
It is envisioned that both employers and employees will make mandatory contributions in much the same way they do with the national insurance scheme. I realize that the proposed changes to the way we finance health may result in some apprehension, but if we want as a people to have access to the very best health care we can afford as a country, then we must be accepting of change and resolute in our pursuit of excellence. In fact, Mr. Speaker, as a responsible government, we are duty-bound to provide the best health care we can for our citizens at the most affordable cost. And this is what we are setting out to achieve. We could have raised taxes to improve the quality of health care, but it still would not benefit those who could not afford it. We believe that the best option is to implement a national health insurance scheme that neither favors nor discriminates against any solution.
On the international scene, reports say a suspect in the gun attack at YouTube's headquarters in California had expressed anger over the company's treatment of her video postings. Police have named the 39-year-old Nassim Aghdam as the suspect, but they say they are still investigating a motive. U.S. media says she was angry that YouTube was filtering her videos and reducing the amount of money that she could make. One man and two women sustained gunshot injuries. The suspect shot herself dead. Police in San Bruno, California, say there is no evidence yet that the attacker knew her victims. And finally, China has hit back against U.S. plans to impose tariffs on $50 billion of Chinese goods. Beijing has retaliated with a list of similar duties on key American imports, including soybeans, planes, cars, beef, and chemicals. The move has sent global markets reeling. We get more in this Reuters report.
We are not in a trade war with China. That war was lost many years ago by the foolish or incompetent people who represented the U.S. But a spat between the world's two biggest economies could have a major ripple effect, says Reuters trade correspondent David Lauder.
We've had a few early volleys going back and forth in what could become a trade war between the United States and China that could be very damaging to the world economy. Now, what economists and the market is concerned about is that this could escalate to the point where it starts to choke off global growth.
Unlike Trump's targets announced Tuesday and filled with obscure industrial products, China is targeting signature American exports, matching the U.S. with its own $50 billion list, with 25% tariffs on cars and planes, as well as an exhaustive list of food and agricultural products from beef to tobacco, whiskey to soybeans. China's tariffs will activate depending on when Trump's $50 billion list goes into effect.
And that's news this afternoon. Remember, there's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good afternoon.